Hello, welcome back to another wet day here in the garden. It's Saturday, and this is the second take I'm doing of this video because the first take I did on Friday, which is normally when I publish these videos, was so horrible. It was just the magic of editing could not fix just the bad video. So out the window that went, and here I am doing take two on a very wet day that's not supposed to be wet. No, in fact, the weather forecast for today was bright, sunny, and 90 degrees as usual. But Mother Nature decided to throw some rain into the mix. Anywho, back to gardening matters. It was a busy week. There was 1 or 2 days where I stayed inside. It was just too absolutely hot, with the heat index probably being over 100. And I just did other projects that I had to do, things I'm working on, and I'll tell you more about in the future. I did get out here on a couple of days. I finished weeding out the last of the grass on the back of the rose garden here. It was pretty bad, and it was probably the last of the major weeds. Now there's still weeds and grass underneath the privet hedge, and I will fish them out and clean it out over time. That's just something that is going to take me a little bit longer, but the biggest eyesore and the majority of the weeds was in between the privet hedge and the roses, and that is now taken care of. Now I haven't mulched over the area yet. I'm probably going to wait another week or so. I'm going to wait for some of the grasses to continue to pop up because I know I didn't get all of the crabgrass and Bermuda grass roots up, and if you don't get all those roots up, they will sprout obviously new. So I'm going to wait probably another week or so, and as they pop up, I'll just get a Dutch hoe, cut them out of there, clean it up, and then I'll turn around and mulch. Speaking of mulch, I'm going to use a new type of mulch, which is pine bark mulch. I have some bags behind me here. I haven't used pine bark mulch yet. It's something new to me. The cost is the same as the mulch I've been using, which I've been satisfied with, which is the hardwood mulch. The mulch here in the rose garden gets very compacted. It does in several of the other flower beds, but the rose garden, it's not as densely planted, so it gets compacted, and then there are a lot of weeds which tend to grow into that compacted mulch as like a substrate. And the roots don't even get down into the topsoil or the compost beneath. It just grows right into the compacted mulch. So that's not a good thing. So what I'm going to do is some of the new areas that I have, whether it's the back walkway or down here at the corner with the climbing rose, I'm going to be using pine bark mulch. I hope this works. It should be a looser, less compacted mulch. Therefore, some of the weeds that have been taking advantage of the compacted mulch theoretically or hopefully shall not grow or be able to get a good foothold into that pine bark mulch. And if it does wind up working out better than the hardwood, what I'll do is I'll just over time, the hardwood will either rot down, break down, or I will just remove sections of it and I will replace it with the pine bark, and I'll use that hardwood mulch probably over in the flower gardens where it seems to be doing quite well, or someplace else. Either way, that's the story with some of these bags behind me. And that then leads me to one of the other things that happened this week, which was I received an order from Lowe's. I placed an order with Lowe's. I received an order, which was pine bark mulch, some bags of compost that I need to help me continue work on the section around the climbing rose and moving forward. And I got fence posts in as well. I got 2 types of fence posts. The wood fence posts, which basically get sunken down like 2 feet into the ground. They're going to go over to the area where I'm going to have the gate that's going to be between the rose garden and the next section, which I'm going to talk about later in this video. So don't tune out if you already haven't tuned out. Then I got some of those metal T-posts, and I'm going to start putting the metal T-posts all around the perimeter. I already had bought fencing. Actually got quite a bit of fencing on Amazon Prime Day, strangely enough, for a lot cheaper, almost $20 cheaper than it was over at Lowe's or Home Depot. So I'm going to put a 4-foot barrier fence around the rose garden here, and that will just help deter the deer a little bit more than right now. They can just walk across. There's not much that is stopping them, but if there's that there, they may think twice. Do I really want to jump this to go munch on something that may or may not be good, or I got to deal with that sprinkler that keeps going off, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping to get that done in the next few weeks. So that'll be something, again, I'll be working on in the evenings, banging in those T-posts and hanging up that fence. Eventually the fence is all going to be covered up because I'm going to have, just like I have back here where I have the privet hedge, I'm going to have either the privet hedge or some other vegetation, bush, shrubs, trees, etc. in front of that fencing. So in time, the fencing will disappear. And that's what I want. You know, it's just a temporary measure in a sense to deter the deer. I will grow, again, some sort of vegetative barrier up. Along the back, it's going to be as high as I can let it go. You know, it's not going to be a standard uniform cut. When that all starts growing and I start filling all that in, that will be a whole nother video. And along the opposite side to this side will probably be about a 6-foot hedge, and that'll be formally cut nice and square, that kind of thing. Let's see, what else? Notes. As I was putting away that order, I was using my lawnmower and I was pulling stuff on a cart. It was only 50 feet or so from where I had it dropped off to where I was dropping it off back in here. But you know what? When you're dealing with 100+ heat, anything that you can do to make the job just a little bit easier is always a plus. So I did that, and that it actually helped a lot. It was just a brutal day working in the sun, and there's a lot of parts of the country that are dealing with this heat right now. You know, anything you can do, again, do to make your lives a little easier. And that then leads me to the last thing that I want to talk about today, which is the new area. So let's take a look at that now. So this is the pathway that leads to the new area, and right next to it, I think it's in shot here, there's these two big grassy messes. These are going to be the new beds to the rose garden opposite of the bed that I'm currently working in. And what I'm doing is essentially just dumping all my grass clippings, wood chips, any vegetative matter that I can, and I'm going to compost in place. I don't plan on touching these areas for a couple of years, so I add all this organic matter here. Essentially, they're just acting as big compost piles. They'll rot down and add all that good organic matter to the already bad ground. And this way, theoretically, I don't have to spend as much or use as much compost to these areas once I start working on them. It'll just be a matter of measuring them off, squaring them off, getting everything, you know, edging in place, and then theoretically I can start, you know, planting into them. When I get to more of these sections here in the future, I will talk and discuss more about that. I don't want to bore you guys with that anymore. But either way, this right here will be the gate area. So I have 2 large wooden posts I'll be putting in. I have to build a gate. Yes, I have to build several gates, but a gate will be there. And then this whole area back here will be the new fern garden or woodland garden or woodland fern garden. Something along those lines. So I wasn't sure what to do with the space, and you can see I have a lot of the trees, vegetation behind me here, and I have the trees and vegetation off to the side, and I know I'm going to have a hedge that's approximately 6 foot high here. So that's going to create a lot of shade back in here, which is good. Now deer, at least my deer, don't eat ferns, which is also good. So that's why I started thinking, going, well, this area tends to flood a bit when we get those super heavy rains or rains for days, and ferns can tolerate a lot of that water. So that's my theory, is that I'm going to turn around and just put in a few beds, plant it up with ferns, low maintenance. I'm not even gonna like worry about, well, the weeding aspect I'll have to worry across that bridge when I get there, but a few beds filled with ferns, maybe some other plants that you guys know that grow in shade that deer don't eat. Maybe something along those, I'll do that. So it's going to be a woodland fern garden area, very shady, and don't expect to see this anytime soon. Because it's going to take me a few years to get to this point. To grow the hedges, it's going to take a few more years. So we're probably looking at, and I'm a one-man show here, so we're probably looking at 5 to 6 years minimum. But at least I kind of know what I want to do with that space back there. I want to turn around and plant it up full of ferns, and we'll see what happens after that. In my head, I'm imagining a little windy pathway through there. This is what I'm thinking. Oh, if you have any thoughts or suggestions or comments on it, please leave them below. Sophie's a little wet. She's been laying in the grass, munching on a stick or something, I don't know. And she doesn't mind being outside, which is great, except when it's too hot, then she wants to go inside, which is a normal reaction for most sane creatures, unlike me, who will come out when it's 100 degrees out just to do some weeding or mowing the lawn. Did I mention I mowed the lawn in like 100-degree heat? That wasn't fun. No, but it had to get done, so back and forth I went with the mower. If I remember correctly, that day had a little bit of a breeze, which was pretty nice. So here we are at the end of the video. You know the story. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a new video. Hopefully all this starts to dry out in the next 24 hours because I still have some more lawn to mow. But I'm hoping in the next few weeks I can start working on the fencing for the rose garden. Again, I have to build a bunch of gates. I might do a video on that. I've done them in the past, but maybe I'll throw together a short. I don't know. We'll have to see how things go. If you guys have a suggestion for anything that you want to see in the upcoming videos, whether it be veg garden, more of the rose garden, something else going on here in the rose garden, if you want to see flower garden stuff, just Q&A, I don't know. Leave those comments and suggestions below. I'm always open to suggestions. And be sure to check out all the links below because there's all sorts of good stuff down there. And I think that's going to wrap it up for today. It is really humid out right now, and I think the sun is trying to come out. So it's only going to get more humid as as the sun heats everything up and all the moisture in the ground starts to evaporate. Isn't that right, Sophie? Sophie says yes. So we're going to go inside now where it's a lot cooler, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.